Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to do a very common 80s makeup style. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a bright colored eyeshadow. I suggest blue, but any bright color would do. You're going to want a pink blush, pink lipstick, and then your foundation along with eyeliner and mascara. So to get started, we're going to actually do the eyes first. I like to do my eye makeup first just because if there's any flaws, it makes it easier for me to wipe it off without ruining all the foundation. Okay. So with this, you're going to do the blue eyeshadow on your eyeline. But where we're actually going to cover is you go from the tip of the eyebrow to the edge of the eyeline, and then other end of the eyebrow to the other end of the eyeline, and we are going to color in the whole eye area with that same blue eyeshadow. Then we're going to go ahead and get the other eye done. Corner to the edge of the eyebrow. And same thing, edge of the eyebrow to the corner. And then we're filling in the whole area. And one thing I like to do, just kind of give it a nice smoother feel, is just kind of run the fingers over it, kind of smooth it and even it out a little bit better than some of the brushes can. Okay. So then we're just going to put on our eyeliner. And it's going to be right along the eye line. Nice and thin. You don't need anything like really thick or heavy. And then under the eye line as well. And we're going to go all the way to where your tear duct is, but not all the way around. And then same thing on the other eye. Just a nice smooth thin line all the way across. And then under the eye line up to the tear duct. Okay. Next we're going to do our mascara. And you're just going to evenly apply the mascara all the way around. One thing I like to do to try and get a little bit of a longer lash look towards the end is do the tip of the brush with just a little bit of the ones on the end. And then we're also going to get our lower eyelashes as well. And then same thing with the other side. And just the tip on the ends to try and give it a little bit of that extra length. I also find that it helps separate some of those little eyelashes that like to clump together. And then I'm going to go back and do another coat of the lashes. Okay, so before I start on the foundation, my trick for cleaning up flaws is a Q-tip and a little bit of water. So you just want to get one end of your Q-tip a little wet and then just kind of wring it out with your fingers. And then I find it's very easy to just easily get any of those flaws also helps smooth out some of the makeup that might have splattered. And then if you need to like even smooth out under the eye line, I kind of do a rolling trick. Like you kind of roll it up towards the line to where you want it, and that kind of helps smooth anything out, get any extra eyeliner off that you don't necessarily want. Okay. Then once you have all your little flaws gone, we're going to go ahead and move on to the foundation. And it's just your regular foundation, any color that works for you or that you prefer to use. And there's no special applying technique. There's not really any shading or blending of that, because that really wasn't a thing back in the 80s. So you're just going to get a nice coverage all over. And I know mine looks a lot lighter than my skin tone where I'm putting it on, but that's because I get very red in the face. So once I actually start blending where there's not the redness, you see how it kind of blends better. But just kind of pick the colors that are going to be your typical foundation, the colors that are best for you. And you're just going to get the whole face except for where we just did with the eyes. And you're going to go all the way to the hairline. And then one thing I suggest is you don't have to add foundation to it, but what's left on there, kind of just like blend it a little bit into the neckline, so you don't have that very distinct line that a lot of people have when they do their foundation. It's also my suggestion of doing your foundation, picking out a color that actually blends right into the neck or even to the earline, because that's one thing that you would see a lot where people didn't get an exact match and you would see the lines all the way around. And I'm just making sure I'm getting it smoothly covered over every area. Okay, so next we are going to do our blush. So you're going to want a pink color along with your blush brush. And then right on the apple of the cheeks, you're kind of going to do a little bit of a circle. And then you're going to blend it up right up into that hairline. So kind of circle it and then blend it up in there. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Your little circle. And it's right where the cheekbone kind of stops and right below it if you're not sure where. So that's kind of called the apple of the cheek. So you're going to circle it there and right along that cheekbone, take it all the way to the hairline. You do want it a little brighter here, but you don't want a very distinct circle and then line. That's why we want to slowly blend it in. Then after we get our cheeks done, we are going to do the lips. And then you're going to want a pink lipstick. It was pretty much the most common color lipstick during that time, was especially the bright pink. And then just your simple applying your regular lipstick. And then because I have that little indent in my lip, I tend to, once I smooth it out, tend to get it out. So if you have something like that, just grab another tip and you can get it out. I also like to use a little bit of that foundation afterwards to help smooth that out as well. And then, because lip liner wasn't really too big of a thing in the 80s, that was more when the 90s came that we started doing it. So I like to use just like the foundation and just kind of create my line around it. Okay. And then one trick I learned from theater is sometimes people who get the lipstick in their teeth and that, take your finger and you're going to put it in your mouth and pull it out. And if you have any lipstick that went in too far, it would be on your finger and not on your teeth. So that's just my little trick there. So if you want, so this would be a very common look in the 80s. If you wanted to give it more of a rocker look or an edgier look, what you would do is you would take your eyeshadow and then on the bottom, you're going to make your little line out and you're going to curve around to that line. And then we're just going to fill in that part there. Now this is just if you're going for that rocker look. This was not a typical everyday look. And then curve around. And you're going to want it to come to a little bit of a point right there. So you kind of have that edgier rock look. So your everyday, your rocker look, you could do it on both sides if you wanted, or one side. And that would be it for your typical 80s look, where we go all the way to the eyebrows, and then the edgier rocker look where we extend past and kind of create those pointed looks. And then my suggestion for removing the makeup afterward is actually cold cream. I find it works really well, easily gets everything off, and then it also keeps your skin moist. So like a lot of the products out there, they tend to dry them out. I find cold cream moisturizes your face like a lotion as you're cleaning it. And if you've never used any, all you do is take a little glob, rub it all over your face like you would lotion, and then you just get a rag or a tissue and just wipe it all off. And it comes off so easily. All right, so now that we finished our 80s makeup, we gotta add the hair to it. And in the 80s, the hair was big and curly. So we add that look, add the hair, let it down, let it get big, and you're ready for the 80s.